In a week where we have seen an unbelievable return to the WWE, what surprises can we expect from our weekly gatheration at Full Sail University? Look in my eyes. What do you see? It's time for grading NXT. We kick off with a championship match. I tell you what, NXT loves starting with a championship match. Cruiserweight title on the line. It is Lio Rush versus Angel Garza. Just as this match gets underway, Angel Garza rolls into the crowd and rips his trousers off in front of the wife of Lio Rush. Now, if the Book of Marriage has taught me two things, it's taught me, one, Tom, you're not married, you're not an authority to talk on this, and two, you do not rip your trousers off in front of another man's wife. This lights a fire under Lio Rush, who absolutely goes to town on Angel Garza with a ferocity in this match that we don't normally see from Lio Rush. Incidentally, Angel Garza in this match is an absolute innovator. There's two spots for me that stand out from him. The one is where Lio Rush dives to the outside looking for a tope. Garza catches him and hits a snap power slam. Mwah! Beautiful. The other is he goes to the very top rope, the tippity top rope, and hits a moonsault splash on Lio Rush. So he's clutching Lio Rush, carrying him like a babe. Moonsault slams him into the center of the mat. It looked amazing. Lio Rush rallies from this. He hits the come up, which is that springboardy stunner thing he does. As he hits it, he keeps a hold of the head of Garza. Stands up, slaps him across the face. A nice receipt from last week's show. He goes for another come up, but Garza turns it into the wing clipper for a 2.9999 recurring. Oh, this lit the crowd up as well. Garza then goes for a wing clipper off the top rope. Rush turns it into a Frankensteiner, hits a final hour frog splash, but only gets 2.99999. So Rush goes back to the top, and as Angel Garza's getting back to his feet, hits another one, but Garza's feet land under the ropes. One of his boots is actually on the rope itself. The ref doesn't see it, but Lio Rush does. Lio swipes the foot away, gets the 1, 2, 3. The crowd immediately start booing Lio Rush. They saw it, and Lio Rush leaves with a little cheeky smile on his face. He knows what he did. And we're now going to get some lovely tweener type shenanigans from the Cruiserweight champion Lio Rush. I am giving this an A. This was a phenomenal way to start NXT this week. Garza is a star. This match and the last two actually really have made him. I'm a big fan of seeing what he does next. And Lio Rush, who went through a whole bevy of emotions throughout this match, and to leave the way he did, that sort of cocksure smile after cheating, this was great. Oh, and these two just mesh beautifully as well. It's getting an A from me. Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley have been attacked backstage by unknown assailants. Who did it? Was it Raw? Was it SmackDown? Was it NXT? Was it AEW? Was it Impact Wrestling? Was it MLW? Was it Lucha Underground? Was it North Wrestling, based in Newcastle upon Tyne? Was it Riptide Wrestling, based in Brighton? Was it Main Event Wrestling, home of Mickey the Dragon? Was it Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, the cartoon from off of the 80s? Was it Camp WWE? Who knows? I don't know. We may find out a bit later on. Up next, it's Xia Li, looking great. She had a real bad injury earlier this year, and she's back in fine form, going one-on-one with Aliyah, who's got Vanessa Bourne at ringside. Immediately, Vanessa Bourne is playing silly buggers, trying to grab the leg of Xia Li. This only makes Xia angry, and she is just going for everything with Aliyah, and Aliyah is playing her role perfectly of being the cowardly, arrogant heel, ducking and dodging and diving every single one of Xia Li's kicks for as long as she possibly can. She can't for much longer though. We see a springboard double axe handle from Xia Li that takes down Aliyah, and then a huge roundhouse kick that absolutely wipes the smile off Aliyah's face. Also, could potentially have wiped a couple of bones from out of the nose, or the cartilage at the very least, as Aliyah gets a bust open nose from this big kick. But we get a 1, 2, 3. Xia Li wins the match as Aliyah is being tended to by medical staff, and it looks like her nose has been busted open. I'm going to give this whole match a C. I thought it was good. I thought Aliyah played her part well. If you watched the tier video that myself and Ross did, you know, there was a bit of, we were a bit mean on Aliyah, and I thought she was great here. I wonder whether or not this bit where Aliyah gets her nose bust open was a planned bit as opposed to a real bit. I've got a theory on this that I'll get to later on, but this gets to see it was good. It was good. Xia Li looked good. Aliyah did job well. It was fine. It was a C. Finn Bálor is out now. All the poses are gone and replaced by poses. Bang, Bullet Club confirmed. Finn Bálor stands in the ring in the center of the spotlight and just cuts every member of the NXT locker room down, calling them crybabies on Twitter. He starts to come at Matt Riddle for everything that he's been doing online and complaining about his attack. Doesn't get a chance to really go to town on Riddle, because Riddle appears in the ring, takes down Finn Bálor, and these two start brawling around the ring. Bálor makes an exit, leaving Matt Riddle in the ring with the microphone, telling him to come back, ya putz. We need to use the insult putz more often. It's brilliant. Riddle suddenly finds himself being cornered by the Undisputed Era. He gets in the ring. The Undisputed Era surround it. This brings out Tommaso Ciampa and Keith Lee to play backup. And then we get a lovely little bit of fan service. I do believe this is fan service, as Keith Lee is handed the microphone, and Keith Lee talks. This man's voice, it's caramel. Why is it that so many wrestlers have got podcasts but Keith Lee hasn't? I would sleep like a baby putting that on before I go to bed on an evening. Keith Lee gives the respect to Adam Cole, saying that he called out Seth Rollins, he's called out Daniel Bryan, but he says, you haven't called out me. Roderick Strong defends the honor of the team captain of the Undisputed Era and says to Keith Lee, if you want a match tonight, you want a match, you're going to get a match against me. So referees come out to get Ciampa and Riddle out of the ring. The Undisputed Era reluctantly step away, and Keith Lee hoys Roderick Strong into the ring, and the match begins. Before we go any further, whoa, cool your jets, NXT, right? The Bálor promo and this bit here, I'm giving it an A. Finn Bálor is mighty as a heel, and the way that they planted Riddle into this bit with Bálor, plus the bit they did last week, makes a bit of WarGames admin we have later on make far more sense. But this whole bit was great. And it's Keith Lee on the microphone. Of course I'm going to give it an A. Okay, right, back to the match. So Roddy's in the ring, and Keith Lee is dominating Roderick Strong. A few times Roddy tries to cut down Keith Lee, chopping him, kicking him low, a few low shoulder blocks. But it's like trying to destroy a fridge using a wood chipper. It's very, very difficult. And Keith Lee just keeps rising up and wiping out Roderick Strong. At one point, Roddy comes flying at Keith Lee, and Keith Lee swats him in midair with a double palm strike. It sounded like thunder going off in the venue. Jeepers! Roderick Strong rallies, hits a monstrous superplex off the top rope. Looks like maybe he's going to get the win here. Until, of course, Keith Lee powers up again. I think his resiliency is set to 100 and wipes out Roderick Strong with a lariat. Undisputed Era come out to try and support their boy. Team Ciampa come out to try and stop Undisputed Era. Matt Riddle is on the outside fighting off Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Boom! There's Finn Bálor appearing into existence once again. Wipes him out with a swing blade, a sling blade, that spinny thing, that one, and does a double stomp on Riddle, just takes him out completely, as Finn Bálor then makes his exit. Meanwhile, there is a match still going on, lest we forget, and in the middle of the ring, Roddy charges at Keith Lee, only to eat a ground zero, 1, 2, 3, and Keith Lee has just pinned the North American champion Roderick Strong in grand style, giving this whole match an A for me. I liked the dynamic of Strong and Lee. The idea that Roddy is just trying to cut down a mighty oak, but Keith Lee just keeps powering back up. This was a really nice mixture of people. I enjoyed this and all the stuff that went on around it. This gets an A. But we're not done yet. No. The Undisputed Era jump into the ring and start attacking everybody. Lee, Ciampa, Riddle, they're outnumbered. And so out comes Dominik Dijakovic. Steps over the rope and just obliterates everybody. Dijakovic makes his presence known by wiping out Adam Cole with a feast your eyes. He then turns to Ciampa and says, "You're going to war? I'm in. handshake for Ciampa and a reluctant handshake between frenemies Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. There is a WarGames team if I ever did see one. What a great way to suddenly make Dominik Dijakovic an absolute force. Outside the ring, the horsewomen Shafir and Duke and Candice LeRae have been wiped out on the grounds of Full Sail by an unknown assailant. Who could have done it? Was it Raw? Was it SmackDown? Was it NXT? Was it AEW? Was it Impact? Was it Memphis Championship Wrestling? Was it World Class Championship Wrestling? Was it the AWA? Was it Full Tilt Wrestling? Was it High Impact Wrestling? Was it ICW in Scotland? Was it Fight Club Pro? Was it Dragon Gate? Was it Intergalactic Championship Wrestling? I might have made that one up, I don't know. You know this is serious, though. You know this is serious because Triple H is out there along with a guy with the top knot. And Triple H is like, hey, get all this sorted. Who attacked them? Who done it? Who done it? Back in the ring, and it's Isaiah Swerve Scott taking on Bronson Reed. A quality match between two guys who are very much the rising stars of NXT. Quite a slow one, this one. It wasn't that they didn't disconnect. It just didn't feel like as exciting as... it didn't feel like one of the more exciting matches that either of these guys have had in recent memory. Saw some good bits, though. Bronson going for a super tombstone off the top rope. Yeah, all right, mate, you're crazy. Manages to avoid it, does Isaiah Swerve Scott, and lands a DDT on Bronson Reed. For the finish, Scott goes for a sunset flip. Bronson Reed does what any self-respecting thick boy would do and just goes to sit down upon him. But Swerve Scott swerves out of the way. Reed just sits on the floor dazed, which leads to the house call. That back kick to the head that Isaiah Swerve Scott does. What a great finisher. Super simple, incredibly effective. 1, 2, 3. Isaiah Swerve Scott wins the match, continuing a pretty impressive winning streak for Scott. This to me was a B-. It was good. The quality is so high on NXT on a regular basis. I thought this was good. I don't think this was the best match that either of these guys have had, but I love them both. They both got a strong look, both got a strong style, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. Kathy Kelly is stood in the Statler and Waldorf position with a little bit of WarGames admin now. Matt Riddle will now face Finn Bálor at WarGames as a result of the injury to Johnny Gargano, and therefore there is a space in the WarGames match on Team Ciampa, which has now been filled by Dominik Dijakovic. We still have one more team member for the WarGames team to announce for Team Ciampa, but this is looking like a great show. I'm gutted that Gargano and Bálor isn't happening. Gargano, of course, is injured, which means he cannot compete. But hey, Riddle and Bálor, go for it, lads. It's Birmingham versus Belfast. It is Pete Dunne versus Killian Dain next. Well, it's meant to be. Pete Dunne makes his way out. Out comes Killian Dain, and he's attacked by Damian Priest outside. A little cheeky sneak attack from behind. We see Priest and Dunne go at it in the rampway. Like, Dunne goes, hey, if you're gonna fight, I want to fight as well. Out he goes, they start fighting. Killian Dain gets up and they start fighting. Referees and officials and the 82nd Airborne all come in to try and break them up. Everybody's fighting off everybody else. Damian Priest gets into the ring where he's wiped out Dain, he has wiped out Dunne, and he wipes out a security guard as well. Actually, a couple of security guards before wiping everybody out by chucking a security guard over the top rope, Razor's Edge style, and just flattening everybody outside the ring. When that happens, we see Dunne and Dain get back to their feet and just carry on fighting each other. And then Damian Priest steps in and just obliterates everybody. Damian Priest is the main attraction for this bit here. Giving this a B, it was fine, it was good, it was exciting, but we're very sneak attack heavy this week on NXT. I'm a little bit burned out on sneak attacks, you know? A lot of that going on. But either way, it was great. What they did was fine. I'm excited to see Priest versus Dunne versus Dain, a triple threat at WarGames. Can we have that, please? That's all I want for Christmas. Thank you very much. Mia Yim is backstage with Kathy Kelly moments before the main event, and Dakota Kai turns up and says there's no hard feelings about me being left out of the WarGames match, and I've got your back tonight. Oh, didn't this just smack of, I'm going to hurt you later, I'm going to turn my back on you, It did a little bit, didn't it? Which is fine. I'm for that. I'm for a slow burn heel turn for Dakota Kai. And here we go with main event o'clock. It is a ladder match. Mia Yim versus Io Shirai for the advantage at WarGames. So whoever wins this match, they'll have the one-person advantage throughout the entire WarGames match. I love this. I love anything that makes that prospect feel important. Because back in the day, they did coin flips to decide it. Like, why do a coin flip when you can have a pig in ladder match? That's cool with me. Starts off quite sluggish, quite slow between these two. I think they connected enough. It felt a bit clumsy. There were some quite grim spots with the ladder throughout this. I mean, some grim but clever and done that way, like when Mia Yim trapped Io Shirai's hand in between the ladder. That's nice. I like that. There was the bit where Mia Yim suplexed Shirai into the ladder in the corner and hit the small of Io Shirai's back. Eesh. And then, of course, there was Io Shirai's drop kick into the ladder, into the face of Mia Yim that bust Mia Yim wide open. This brought the match to a bit of a standstill as medical personnel went to check on Mia Yim, and you could seriously tell there was some stalling whilst they made sure she was okay. Even the camera wasn't focused on Mia Yim. It was strongly focused on Io Shirai, taking ages to get the ladder set up before the match re-continued. And this is why, two things. This is why I think that the earlier bit with Aliyah might have been a planned bit, because they showed the medical staff seeing to Aliyah. I kind of got the vibe that that bit was maybe a work, brother, which is fine, which is a good bit. And also, this moment with Mia getting bloodied and potentially have broken her nose in the process, sort of woke Full Sail back up. They weren't massively invested in this match compared to what they had been for earlier in the night. But as soon as this happened, and once Mia Yim got back into it, the crowd were really vocal behind Mia Yim, which was great. As Io Shirai takes over on Mia Yim once again and sends her crashing to the outside, Dakota Kai comes out, coming through on her promise to have the back of Mia Yim. She tries to get Mia Yim back to her feet, and as she's helping Mia Yim back up, Io Shirai comes off the top with a moonsault, wipes them both out. Well done, Dakota. Well done, you putz. I love Dakota Kai. I do feel like this is building to something else. As Io Shirai is climbing up the ladder, Dakota Kai gets back to her feet, comes to her senses, gets into the ring, and hits a sit-out powerbomb onto Io Shirai, which elicited a couple of boos from the crowd at Full Sail. I guess because it did feel like a heel run-in, but it was a face doing it. I think that's why it felt a bit sneaky. And the Full Sail crowd are lively for everything. And I guess they just sense the, hang on, no, that's why the good guys being naughty like that. Didn't like it. There was a couple of boos for Dakota Kai here. Kai helps Mia Yim back into the ring with Shirai incapacitated. Mia Yim starts to climb up the ladder. Meanwhile, outside of the ring, Dakota Kai gets wiped out on the steel steps by a mystery attacker. It's only Kaylee Ray, the NXT UK Women's Champion, who gets into the ring, holds onto the ladder, smiles at Mia Yim and pushes the ladder, and Mia Yim goes crashing through another ladder outside of the ring that was set up earlier on and just is decimated outside the ring. This then leads to Io Shirai taking the advantage, claiming the briefcase and becoming the winner of the match and gaining the advantage to Team Shayna Baszler at WarGames. The rest of the Team Baszler come out to celebrate. Shayna Baszler on the ramp holding up her belt going, yeah, you guys are great, we love you. And then suddenly, from behind, who's that? It's only Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion in her casual attire. Bayley wipes out Shayna Baszler with that new front DDT finisher she does. I'm not sure about it. It looks a bit clunky to get set up, but bang, drops Shayna Baszler onto the belt, and NXT goes off the air with Bayley making a run for it and Shayna Baszler being wiped out. So was it Bayley that was attacking everybody backstage? Must have been. Or Kaylee Ray, lest we forget. Given the match and the overall final bit of show this week, a B-. I know it sounds quite cruel because Mia Yim cut her face open, and I should give points for that and stuff, but if before that happened, I didn't feel like this was the strongest main event that we've had in the history of NXT. I just didn't. Just didn't feel like that these two clicked as well as I think we were hoping to. Mia Yim, fair play, who bust her nose, carried on going, and then it picked up near the end. I want to give a lot of points to Nigel McGuinness for this final bit as well on commentary, and Beth Phoenix and Mauro Ranallo, all the commentary team, for the way they reacted when Kaylee Ray turned up. And I want to compare that to the way Jim Ross reacted when Luchasaurus returned on AEW Dynamite last night as well. Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone and Excalibur really sat, well, I tell a lie, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross, Excalibur, you're not in trouble here, but Schiavone and Ross couldn't have sounded more disinterested with the return of Luchasaurus if they tried. They just didn't sound that vested in him at all. And I think that hurt for people watching at home, the value of this monster that just returned on AEW. Meanwhile, out comes Kaylee Ray. Nigel McGuinness sells this like it's the ultimate secret weapon for Team Baszler. Makes Kaylee Ray immediately feel like a big deal, as does Beth Phoenix and as does Mauro Ranallo. They immediately make Kaylee Ray feel special. And she is. She's bloody brilliant. So I'm really glad to see her getting this moment. And I'm sad that the final shot wasn't Kaylee Ray, but I guess it makes sense that the last shot was Bayley. There is another war going on, and we're kind of crossing stations here. But I'm giving the whole thing a B-. I don't think it was the strongest main event we've had in NXT, but I enjoyed it. NXT for me this week was a B+. This is the first time I think I've graded NXT anything less than an A. There were some really strong moments in here, some real straight fire as we build towards WarGames and build towards Survivor Series. I thought the main event, probably, as I've said already, it didn't do as much for me. I mean, it was still great. I give it a B. I give it a strong grade. Still enjoyed it. Wasn't the strongest we've had. Wasn't overall the strongest show that we have had on NXT. And this isn't like a diss. It's not. Like we have made a rod for our own back with NXT because the quality has been so high that now the expectation is so high as well. But you know what? It's not a bad place to be, is it, as a wrestling product, when the product has been so good week to week that your ideas are much higher than they would normally be. I'm down with that. I still enjoyed watching NXT this week as a B+. It was still a great show, still better than most wrestling shows from this week, in my opinion. I still think that it could have possibly been Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling that attacked Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley backstage. I don't know what those animated characters were doing at that time, so I think it's on them. Love you, bye. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.